the epiphany I often come to at the end of the night, if I happen to still be coherent, is that there's never enough. It's never fucking enough to feel a certain way, and you wish you hadn't drank it all, and you start. I mean, I start trying to weigh the pros and cons of drinking more, because if I drink anymore, I'll just hurt more tomorrow, because there's never enough to make it all feel perfect tonight. There's never enough to make it all feel perfect. This life.
90 days ago, I woke up with my last hangover, and it was one of the worst, most uncomfortable hangovers I have ever personally experienced. And as someone who has been struggling with alcohol for what seems like forever, I have experienced a lot of hangovers, but that last hangover on September 17th, which is my sobriety date, I was in more emotional and physical discomfort as a result of my alcoholism than I'd ever been. The night before, I had a panic attack while drunk, and I've never had that happen before. But it happened, and it lasted like 5 hours. And if you've ever had a panic attack, you know how uncomfortable they can be. So my confusion, being drunk, nearly blacking out, and panicking with my heart racing and thinking without any uncertainty that I was going to die or kill myself, it was unbearable, and I survived it, thank God. But I woke up September 17th very broken. And I have experienced that thought that this is as broken as I've ever been. This is as low as I've ever felt before. But I think that was my new low, September 17th. My hands were shaking, which they would tend to do after my drinking. I became a daily drinker in my active addiction. My thoughts were so cloudy. I couldn't string together a fluid sentence. I was essentially quivering and shaking, the dread in my chest from the night before. I suppose the multitude of nights before made it hard to breathe. I was afraid. I was afraid of myself. I was afraid of the day. I was afraid of my future. I was afraid for my life. And I was afraid because I had no idea at any given moment in my active addiction what I was going to do or when I was going to do it, to what lengths I would go to get drunk, and to what pitiful lengths I would go internally to try not to. It was a really shitty place to be, and that's putting it as mildly as I possibly can. But something happened that day. That's happened to me before. I don't think quite like this, but that day, September 17th, I was given a window. I was given a pocket of time to do something. I had been wanting to stop drinking this time around for months and months and months, but that internal want and that freakish desire to break free from addiction again was at a fever pitch. The culmination of the negative impacts of my active addiction had led to a crescendo of desperation to just stop being an active addiction. And it gave me a chance, again, to get help and to get sober. And I'm so glad I took it. I'm so glad I took it because I was dying out there. And you know, it's been hard for me in the past. This is something I think about sometimes, but it's been hard for me in the past to just come to terms with just how dangerous my relationship with alcohol is, just how miserable I truly was, just how unsafe my addiction had become in all facets, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, maritally, socially, financially. Shit was really, really bad, and I downplayed it because I didn't know what else to do, because I didn't know how to break free. No matter how many times I've tried to break free and then gotten some distance from alcohol, every time I've gone back out, the vice grip that addiction has on me gets far more tight. And it seems far more impossible to evade. My disease has absolutely textbook progressed to the point where I was afraid of myself, and I was afraid of what I might do, and I was afraid of how erratic my thoughts were and how impulsive my behavior was and how destructive I had become and how fast it was getting worse than before. So September 17th, I just got that chance. I was in just the right amount of, holy shit, I can't survive this another minute type of pain and discomfort, that I wandered back into recovery truly broken as I can perceive myself to be. I went to a traditional 12-step recovery group. I sat in that group, unable to make eye contact, unable to string together any sort of functional thought as far as how I was talking. But I was there, and I was burning up, and I was scared for my life, and I was surrounded by people who understood. My mom was in the parking lot because she picked me up and dropped me off and then waited for me and then took me home and fed me. And I slept in my mom's bed my first night sober because I was too afraid to be alone. And I'm grateful for that, Mom. Thank you. It was a really intense first day being sober this time. And the demoralization was, it's the stuff stories are made of. The leveling of my pride this last time out in my addiction, and then the discomfort and the torture of trying to get sober, it's been valuable because it has led me to a space today where I just don't believe, left on my own, that I am capable of living a good life, a worthwhile, meaningful life. Left to my own devices, I am just someone, for a variety of reasons, and I don't say this to condemn myself or to bemoan the existence of Noah. I just say this to illustrate the fact that left to my own devices, trying to live life, I drink. And when I drink, I want to drink more. And when I drink more, I lie and I mislead. And I take advantage and I manipulate and I shortcut everything until all parts of my life become deeply unmanageable. And that's what my drinking was. It was really, truly unmanageable because I was either thinking about drinking or thinking about not drinking 24/7. So whether I was drawing a soberish breath or not, I was in the bottle and I was impacted very deeply about everything. So I wanted to lay out some sort of framework for you guys to get a sense of what life was like for me before getting sober, at least internally. I've made lots of videos about how much I drank and some of my escapades and stories, but I don't know that that's necessary for this video. All you really need to know is that I was someone at the end of my drinking who couldn't control his drinking, who couldn't control his behaviors, whether he was or was not drinking, who couldn't manage his life or his feelings or his circumstances, and who was completely powerless over taking in more alcohol. I just had no choice. I just drank, even when I didn't want to. And I always have thought that was like the scariest thing about active addiction. Anyone who's been in it or witnessed it firsthand kind of gets that. Drinking and destroying your own life when you really don't want to is a strange thing. And for me, that was happening on top of the drinking not working. Alcohol historically has always done something very magical for me. It has made me feel good. It has made me feel okay in my own skin. That's been my relationship with alcohol for a long time, but it did stop working. And you hear about that. But when it happens to you, like it did for me, it's a fucking scary thing. It stopped working. I stopped feeling relief. I stopped feeling good. I couldn't turn off my brain. And then when I wanted to stop drinking, I couldn't. And off we went. Okay. That's how it was. That's what it was like without all the gory details. And you found out what happened. I crawled back into an opportunity to be sober. Let's talk about what it's like now. Let's focus on just how good my life is right now. And it's really good. Like, it is really good. And sometimes I wonder if I don't share that enough with you guys, because I'm so connected to discomfort. I've been through treatment-resistant clinical depression and anxiety disorders and depersonalization disorders, and I have been through the trenches with active addiction. So I know uncomfortable places more than some and not as much as others, but I know uncomfortable places, and they haunt you and they're scary. And I also know, for me, that getting sober, it's not instantly relieving outside of like the physical part, because I've been pulled back to my addiction so many times that it has taken time to trust that everything was going to be okay. Even if just for a day, everything was going to be okay. I don't have that credibility, and I've been having to earn it. So I wonder if I get sometimes preoccupied with the pain because I'm someone who, left to my own devices, tends to wander there. However, I'm 91 days sober today, and that is a miracle. And my life is so much better today than I ever could have imagined. And I mean that. I've accumulated 90 days of sobriety before. Not like this. Not like this. Not like this. I think it's really, really important also to be very clear that sharing with you guys that I have 90 plus days sober now of continuous sobriety, working a recovery program, which means I don't just not drink, but I actively do something every day to address my alcoholism, to make sure that I can be okay more than just not imbibing. I want you to know that I share this milestone with you not to celebrate myself. This has taken me a while to understand fundamentally, but it's not so you guys go, wow, look at you, I'm so great. I'm proud of myself, and it is a big deal for me. But sharing it is about showing you being someone who may be watching, who knows someone who cannot stay sober or get sober. It's to show the person who wants to be sober desperately or is curious about being sober to some degree that it is possible to get and maintain sobriety. That's why I want you guys to watch a video like this, is to know that I was able to do it one day at a time. I've been able to stay sober and be sober and want to be sober one day at a time for 90 days. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. And I think that is the point. I think that's the most important thing I could possibly relay to you watching. If you are like me, who 100 days ago were just in a bad place, maybe a horrible place, and you didn't think you could break free like I didn't. I really didn't. I was too stuck. And when you're stuck as long as I've been stuck, as often as I've been stuck, you start to think there's something broken about you. I start to think there's just something wrong with me. So if you are in that space or anywhere in the spectrum of despair and hopelessness and waking up every day wishing you wouldn't do what you keep doing, knowing that I have 90 days is only meant to be instructive, that if I can break free from really, really insidious and pervasive addiction and depression and despair and destruction, so can you. And that's good fucking news. That's good news. And that's why it's important for people, in my opinion, from what I've come to learn, to share their milestones to show the new people or the people hoping to be new people that it can be done in whatever department of recovery, in whatever path of how getting sober might look for you, be it a traditional recovery or a newer recovery or whatever, it can be done. So don't lose hope. In so many words, don't lose hope. Please keep trying. I desperately needed people to continue to tell me, hey, dust yourself off, try again. And then the next day, hey, I love you, it's okay, try again. And then the next day and the next week, keep trying. And now I have 90 days sober. And in the past, I used to think of 90 days and be like, oh, it's only 90 days. No, 90 days is a miracle. 90 days is incredible for someone like me who couldn't get a single day. 90 days it's incredible. And I'm so glad. And I really will work very hard to stay sober today because I only have this one day. All of us, I've heard this too, and it just makes so much sense. But we all have today. The world record for sobriety is 24 hours. I love that. So I'm going to focus on today. The 90 before are a testament to the fact that it can be done. And I'm going to focus on today. But I want to talk about some of the gifts of my sobriety before I let you guys go. Before getting sober, I was someone who wasn't capable of keeping his word. And if I did, it was sparingly. And I wanted to, and I meant to keep my word, and I meant to make appointments, and I meant to be accountable and dependable. And I just couldn't. In active addiction for me, as I've mentioned before, the unpredictability of my behavior and my emotions and my impulses and my drives was shocking, I think. Live in my head for a day of active addiction, it's ridiculous. Sober today, 90 days, I am someone who can absolutely show up when I say I'm going to show up. And this may sound basic, but it's a huge deal for me. I can wake up when I said I was going to wake up. I can do what I said I was going to do. I can support people that I said I would support. I can follow through with things, tasks, and events that are actually important to me. And I couldn't do that as a drinker, and it was breaking my heart. It was absolutely breaking my heart because I've always longed to be a good man, whatever that means. Not a great man anymore as far as like my motivations. I don't want to be anything special per se. I just want to be a good man. I want to look in the mirror and be proud of who I see. I want to experience contentment. And I couldn't in active addiction. It was just the most disappointing life. And I'm proud of myself every single day as a gift of sobriety and working a daily recovery program. I'm someone who can follow through. My energy levels are as good as they've ever been, ever in my adult life. My mental health in sobriety through a lot of work, because it's been a lot of consistent effort, is as stable and as reliable as it's ever been since I had my breakdown in my mid-20s. I found myself watering up a little bit the other day. I was sitting in the kitchen. I was just feeling so good. And I had gotten so accustomed to feeling so bad that I was sitting here feeling good in sobriety. And it just made me want to cry because it's just so sad that I lived like that for so long. And I'm so grateful that I just don't live like that today. So my mental health has been way better. My personal accountability and responsibility is just shockingly good. And I'm still learning how to be a responsible adult and be a mature and thoughtful adult, but it's getting so much better. My sense of fulfillment and joy, so much better. My sleep, amazing. My relationship with my wife has gone from being really, really shallow to full and with weight and depth and with compassion and care and with some romance and some intimacy that was just non-existent, completely vacant. My wife doesn't watch my content. It's probably for the best, but I love you, Jess. I'm so lucky to have you. I'll be sure to finish recording this and just go tell her that. But so my marriages have gotten better. Singular. My marriage has gotten better. And my friendships have gotten better. My fitness has gotten better. My finances are recovering. But beyond all of the me, look how much better it's been for me. My hope for the future is different. And my sense of comfort in my own skin is returning to something a little closer to being a child in a good way. Before I got so afraid of the world, it's getting so much better. I'm finding my place and my grounding one day at a time in sobriety and recovery. And to have hope for the future as someone who was so abjectly hopeless, it's hard to put a price tag on that. It's hard to explain just how delicate that's been for me and how much I value it today. And I'm learning how to care about other people earnestly. And I'm learning to be a responsible adult in my mid-30s. And I actually think I'm doing it with some humility and some grace. It's been fucking awesome. I really, really like being sober. And there have been some harder days for sure. And I'm learning to deal with my emotions and feelings thoughtfully again for sure. And not every day is easy, but every day is endlessly better hitting the pillow sober. And some of my days are like, whoa, good, like, dang, like, really good. And then some days are harder. What I do to stay sober, this is what's been working for me, is I wake up every day and I do some readings that have been suggested for me to do. I do a gratitude journal and a bright spots journal every day. I attend a traditional recovery meeting once or twice per day. That's what's been helping me. I use an app that helps me communicate with people online about sobriety. I think it's called I Am Sober. And I do that every day. I eat as healthy as I possibly can. I value my sleep. I value relationships. I have a sponsor in my program. I have a service position in my program. And I participate every single day in that program. And I reach out to other people every day who struggle with alcohol like I do. And then I do my best to have some fun and enjoy my life. I've been waiting for the chance to have like access to myself for a long time. And I used to dream of what it would be like to just actually be available to do the things that I might actually want to do. So I have a lot of fun in my life. I watch movies, I work out, I hang out with people, I enjoy food, I go on walks, I'm reading again and learning again. I am really, really soaking up relationships again and realizing how important they are to me and trying to forgive myself for how poor of a friend I've been. But I'm not wasting this time one day at a time. And I have hope today. And I think I've said enough. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me. Thank you so much for sitting through my ebbs and flows. For better or worse, I've been fairly authentic on this channel as an aggregate. You guys, if you've been around for any amount of time, and some of you are long timers, you've seen very different versions of me at different times. But I like this version of me. I'm growing to trust and enjoy this version of me. And I'm very grateful because it's all just a gift of being sober and being in recovery and getting out of my own way and just letting go of this idea that I know what to do and I know how to live life. I just don't. But I do like how freeing it's been to just follow a path from people that have gone before me and to cultivate a relationship with God and the universe. One that I don't get, but I'm going to keep reaching for it. So that's my video. I hope you guys are doing well. If you're not, I hope you get support. And if you are, enjoy it. That's awesome. That's a great thing. And maybe support someone who could use it. That's it. One day, 1 hour, 1 minute at a time. We can get through what we're going through and we can do it together. I promise. I can't do this stuff alone. I'm no good at it. And I like having help and I like being a part of a community. You guys are my online community. I've got some in-body community members and I need it all. I'm here for it all. Yeah, I'm here for it all. In the comment section below, please, if you have any stories that you want to share about your experiences with drugs and alcohol and or addiction, or anything that's on your mind relative to someone you know, or any thoughts that this spurred for you, great. I hope you heard something and felt something that makes you want to come spend more time with me. All right, I'm out of here. I'm officially rambling, which is good. It means it's time. Peace.